What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's been alright. I actually have something a little different, but along the religious lines to chat about. Recently I was asked about my thoughts on Levayan Satanism, and I thought I would indulge myself, seeing as that's one of the key components to Levayan Satanism, and it's actually one of the non-satanic statements. But before I begin, this needs to be clarified, because I know somebody, at least one person, is going to leave it in the comments. I am not a Satanist, theistic, or Levayan. I bought a satanic Bible a few years ago, and I've read the entire thing because I wanted a better understanding and to further my understanding on subjects that I don't know a lot about. You know, kind of the main reason you get a book and read it in the first place. So before I get going, no, I am not a Satanist. I am not in any way affiliated with the Church of Satan. I am not a disciple of Anton LaVey. And I'm not in any sense affiliated with black magic or witchcraft or astrology or anything of that nature. So here we go. Levayan Satanism is a religion. That being said, there is no deity worship in this religion. Levayan Satanism differs from theistic Satanism in the fact that it's atheistic. It sees the character Satan as being man's natural spirit. The impulse human beings naturally have, such as lust or envy or greed, vengeance, etc., etc. It refers to that as Satan. Some core principles in Levayan Satanism are indulgence as opposed to abstinence. Don't deny your humanity. You are your own God and you shouldn't be disrespected. If someone slaps you, don't turn the other cheek. Crush their cheek. Levayan Satanism is a mix of some interesting philosophical concepts, and of course, as is the hallmark of all religions in my opinion, it packs on the woo pretty heavily. Gibberish chants repeated over elaborate ceremonies, generally intended to mock Christianity. And if you ever need to know anything about Levayan Satanism, it's this. It's based entirely on being anti-Christian. It may be atheistic, but there's a lot of spiritual talk, which usually turns me off. The term spiritual is an opening for semantical word games. What I might consider spiritual, like my personality or attitude, or an outlook on life, or the way I treat others, isn't what some people seem to view spirituality as. There's a hint, at least, of the transcendent, which I just immediately reject. And as the name suggests, the Satanic Bible is the go-to guide for information on Levayan Satanism. And overall, I found it really interesting. There were a lot of ideas I totally agreed with, like appreciation for learning and honest discourse. Don't let yourself be run over. Save love for those who deserve it. Don't pretend that you love people that you don't. That's one of my biggest complaints with unctuous Christians. But this is in contrast to many of the things I don't like about the Levayan philosophy. Indulgence may generally be a good thing, but not as a rule. I wouldn't say that would make a very good rule, like you have to indulge, or that you really should indulge. There's a lot of things that you shouldn't indulge in. I mean, of course, it does lay down some rules, like you're not supposed to kill animals, you know, you're not supposed to fuck little kids and stuff like that. But just in general, indulgence is not necessarily, I guess, a really good thing to do. Not in every situation. In a lot of situations, yeah, but not in every situation. I wouldn't say it would be very good as a rule. At times, the philosophy is a bit cruel and it's apathetic. The ceremonies are laughably absurd, and I disagree with LaVey that mankind naturally craves such rituals. And being atheistic, I really don't understand this concept of spells against your enemies. That kind of ties into what I call the ritualistic nonsense of all of it. But overall, there's some good ideas in the Satanic Bible. My advice would be, if you want to read it, do so with an open mind. A lot of people seem to blow it off as ridiculous or evil without even looking into it. I found much more wicked shit in the Christian Bible, and yet atheists read that all the time. It's worth examining for its philosophical value. I'll say that much of it. It's worth a read, worth picking up. I mean, you could probably rent it. You can download the PDF file, even if you don't want to pay for it. I'm just saying it's not like a big deal to read. Like, I get that all the time. Like, oh, you've read the Satanic Bible? Oh my God. It's like, dude, it's a book. It's a fucking book. It doesn't hurt to read a book. Speaking of its philosophical value, I think that's one of the redeeming factors in a lot of religions. I adhere to a lot of philosophies throughout different religions because they just make sense to me. not because not doing so will cause me to suffer. So would I recommend reading the Satanic Bible? Of course. I've had this book for about 2 years now, and I haven't been plagued with bad luck or nightmares or whatever the hell. And I keep it right between my King James Version Bible and my copy of the Quran. And on top of it sits The Age of Reason by Thomas Paine. I mean, just keep in mind, it's just a book. Pages cluttered with words, all assembled together to transfer a series of thoughts. It's worth a read. It's worth picking up. Don't be scared of a fucking book.